Oh, snappity snaps.
Oh, snappity snaps. Today we're talking about love and money, Adam.
We are. Love and money
Love and money.
go together like a horse and carriage.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? My wife is not going to like this episode, by the way.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, maybe she will. The thing is, we got married. We had no money.
Uh-huh.
So today we're talking about what is a prenup, otherwise known as a prenuptial agreement. And, when we got married, we had no money. There was no need for one. It wasn't like, well, you're going to take all my money. She'd be like, yeah, go ahead. You signed my prenuptial agreement because she had money and I didn't. That's how that worked. Maybe she will like this episode.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I'm curious. You threw this one out there. Why was this relevant for you?
Well, looking at, again, statistics and numbers, I was just very fascinated. Not with just the financial aspect, but also the behavior. If we look at marriage failure, divorce rates, they're increasing.
Right.
And if we look at the number one leading cause as to why marriages fail, it's because of a lack of clarity, communication around money and finance.
Right.
So a prenup or a prenuptial agreement is literally an agreement about money in/after marriage in the case of death or divorce.
Right.
So I was like, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
We should talk about this. Because if what's missing is a conversation around money, the prenup is an access to a conversation. Now, regardless of whether or not you do the prenup, you at least open up dialogue with your partner.
That is true.
Right. So the title of this episode is "What is a prenup and should I get one?"
Right.
I mean, Adam will tell you what to, I'm just kidding. Adam, we're not going to tell you what to do, but
I won't do that.
It's really it's a discovery.
It is a discovery.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's probably a very challenging conversation. So let's talk about what it is. A prenuptial agreement, obviously, as the name implies, is done before your nuptials. Mm-hmm. So before you are married, it is an agreement that you and your soon-to-be betrothed come into. And the agreement says, you own this, I own this. If we were to ever separate, we would take our separate assets and assign them this way. So generally speaking, prenups are done when someone has assets that they're trying to protect. Mm-hmm. So as an example, if there is a lot of family money and a son or daughter is set to inherit a sum of money, there may be a prenuptial agreement in place there, right? And again, using myself as an example, our families didn't have that kind of wealth when we got married. Mm-hmm. And so there was no real need for a prenuptial agreement at the time. So prenuptial is basically, as Nick said, identifying whose assets are whose. If in fact there is a divorce or a death, where does that money go? After the fact.
Yeah. And I think another thing that's really interesting is I remember this being a topic with Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, and his wife, that they did not do a prenup. They did not have a prenuptial agreement, and
that was a big deal.
Well, yeah, he's like the youngest billionaire, right?
Right.
I remember there was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Slack. A lot of flack.
Yeah.
A lot of flack on Mark Zuckerberg saying that's a dumb idea. You should not be doing that. And essentially his response was really it's really not about the money. The connection that I have with my wife is really at the forefront of the marriage, not so much how much money someone has.
Yeah.
And I think, it's something that I have definitely considered for myself. Like, would I consider a prenup in the case that I make it big and strike millions or billions of dollars? But I also am I know myself to be a very a grounded romantic, and so the thought of a prenup is I don't think that would happen.
Yeah. It kind of plants a seed of doubt. Does it not? You're
it can't. Yeah.
Just in case, which is not really how you want to go into marriage, in my opinion. But so the question is, should you get one? And I guess the answer to that question lies in the assets that you are protecting in going into marriage. And what I'm finding more often than not today is I talk to a lot of young couples, and both of them actually have a lot of debt. And so if they're both bringing student loan debt, what happens? Or if one has massive student loan debt and the other has none, what then happens in the separation if there is one. So, it's definitely worth exploring what happens when there are not only assets but a significant amount of liabilities, because in marriage, effectively, you are taking on the other person's liabilities as well.
That's a great point that you brought up.
Yeah.
I was not looking at that side of the equation.
It's kind of important.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Good thing we're having this conversation.
I know,
before
right?
we move forward.
I
with
know.
anything.
I know. Well, just in case, if you are interested in dating this guy, he will ask you for your credit score and credit report on probably date 2.
Yeah, at least day 2.
Day 2, yeah.
If you're lucky, date 1.
Yeah. And if you bring a coupon,
Bingo.
good job. Good job.
We're talking money.
Bring a BOGO, you got his heart forever. This is good. So, what else do we need to talk about the prenup? Go ahead.
No, go for it.
Well, I was going to say, the other interesting example of a prenup, or someone that didn't have one, was Jeff Bezos, who, recently was divorced from his wife, or is in the process of divorce, and she was going to get half. And I think it ended up being like $80 billion, wasn't it?
Some absurd amount, yeah.
I mean, just incredible. And then she was going to turn around and donate. I don't remember the exact percentage, but I want to say it was like 50 or 60% of what she was getting from him was going to be donated to charity.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was because what I do remember about it, I don't remember all the details, but that it was very like amicable. There was nothing about handing over the money or anything like that. Right. So maybe that's something for the future around, like maybe prenups aren't necessary if there really is.
If there's $160 billion.
Yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine squabbling over $1 billion or 10 billion or 50 billion? Like, how much can you really spend?
Yeah. Insane.
It is insane.
Wow.
That is an insane amount of money and a great example. The other examples that I would point to are things like athletes who may have not have had prenups, then got a contract and then get divorced.
Yep.
And, challenges happen there. And I ain't saying she a gold digger.
But she ain't messing with no
Broke. All right.
All right. I think we covered everything.
Did we cover it?
On prenups? I feel like
Yes. So if you're someone with assets or you're someone with liabilities and you're in a relationship, have the conversation at the very least. And it will be difficult. And be prepared to have, to hold a safe space for each other, but be very prepared to have a challenging conversation around money and what it would mean if you did split up.
Yeah. It'd be one less thing to consider once the both of you have had conversations. It's like one thing that you have managed already. Because you might very well find that you are both on the same page around prenup or not.
Very true.
But at least you know.
You never know until you talk
Exactly.
about it. Right?
Exactly.
Very good. So until then, we wish you lots of love and lots of money. And maybe not necessarily a need for a prenup.
And togetherness.
Okay. See you next time.
See ya.